Thank you so much, Alvin, for our new promo. I was hoping that Trippy would be here for the surprise, but unfortunately he's not here. I assume it's because his team lost that he's not here. I'm not sure if that's the reason or not. But anyway, we have a fun and exciting show as always. Our first guest is the chief of the paramedics for Newcastle County Government, Larry Tan, along with paramedic Samuel Fowler. And I know you're probably saying you just had the paramedics on, but we thought that it was very important that we bring them back on to share with the community the importance of their duties with all that's going on here in the city of Wilmington. And the second guest, I am so excited. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this beautiful young lady to come on, and that is Francine Wallace. She's going to come on and talk about her story. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well as Domestic Violence Awareness. So we're going to talk about domestic violence on this evening. And I was told that Mr. Congo is coming to do the weigh-in. So hopefully he lost the pounds that he said that he was going to lose. We have our funeral announcements, we have a special birthday announcement, and we have some ticket giveaways all in an hour. So don't turn the channel, and I'm not going to even take a break. I'm going to go right into my first interview. Welcome to the Congo Hour.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So we were talking at work, and it was suggested that you come back on, because we had Autumn a few weeks ago.
We were recruiting.
Right. So, but with everything that's going on, especially here in the city of Wilmington, we want you to come on to talk about the importance. This fly is like really bothering me, and it's live TV, so I don't know. David, I need a fly swatter, please. We want to talk about the importance of our citizens assisting you with your job.
Absolutely.
So you take the floor.
We can do that. We're actually asking for the community to help in two ways. Number one, we want to keep our providers safe. We're here to provide assistance to those that need medical or have become injured. But we're asking the community to help keep our people safe and also help prevent things that may delay them from getting to people who may have an immediate need. So it's important at this point to put the topic on the table and to raise community awareness about this. Paramedics and EMS providers as a whole are trained from a very early stage, and actually paramedic candidate Fowler can talk about that, that one of the first considerations whenever they go out on an emergency is scene safety. And he can talk about that.
Okay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk about, well, first of all, I had the awesome opportunity of seeing you while you were in training.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just love the way, and I say it every time, like the discipline that you all had to go through and the rigorous testing and all of that. Let's talk about that, how it prepared you to come out in the streets.
Well, the testing, like you said, was very, very rigorous, and the program was demanding. It's very rewarding, though. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Really? Okay. So tell the viewing audience, when you arrive at the scene, what do we need them to help us with?
Well, the first thing that we're trained to do is to assess the scene and to ensure our safety, because if we're not safe, then we can't provide the service for the patient.
Okay.
And those few seconds where we might have an interaction with somebody and we're not sure if the interaction might be hostile or it might be something that will impede us from doing our job, we have to deal with that. That's taking away time from the patient, and those minutes could be a life or death situation. So it's imperative that our safety is put first so we can provide the service for the patients.
What made me think of the importance was, I think it was last week, there was a shooting in Wilmington on Jefferson Street. And because of another incident, I believe that the residents in the community were like throwing things at police officers. And I thought about, like, okay, so they're not like letting the police come through. So I want them to identify and see exactly what a paramedic looks like and the badges that we wear. Because, I mean, you're in blue as well. I don't want them to mistake paramedics for the police, and just know that the paramedics are there to save your loved one, friend, or whomever it may be.
And, that's a great example. In situations where people are throwing things at anybody on a scene, that's going to be perceived as a threat. And the problem is going to be, we're going to be asked to stay away from that scene until it can become stabilized. One of the other things to kind of keep in mind is we work with a lot of different agencies. It is not uncommon for us to work with the fire department, who are going on the same calls to take care of the same people. It's not uncommon for us to work with different ambulance services. In the city of Wilmington, St. Francis Hospital runs an ambulance service that we work with on a daily basis. It's also not uncommon for us to work with the police department, who may be there to also take care of a victim or of someone who's injured. And in fact, in the Department of Public Safety award ceremony, we actually recognized a Wilmington police officer who got onto a scene, initiated immediate wound care for a shooting victim, and actually stayed with the victim and rode with us to the hospital, maintaining pressure on the wound so that the paramedics could do other things, and contributed to the person arriving at the hospital safe and sound. So we actually have some examples, some pictures of scenes where we are all on a scene, all of these different agencies, and we can show how do you identify whether it's a paramedic, one of the Newcastle County paramedics, how can you identify whether it's one of the other agencies that are working with us as well.
So Alvin, if you would be so kind and show the photographs for us. It's probably going to take a minute to cue it up. Okay.
This is a typical vehicle that the Newcastle County paramedics would use. These are response trucks, and you can tell it's a Newcastle County paramedic unit by the red and gold stripe that goes down the side. And if you look on the door seals, it'll say Newcastle County. There'll be the county insignia, as well as it'll say Emergency Medical Services, but it also says paramedic. And there's only one paramedic service in Newcastle County, and that is the Newcastle County paramedics. You can see us also by our uniforms, and actually some of the responses that we may be to helping your community with may be something as nice as helping to deliver a baby. This is actually a case from last week where the family brought the baby back to meet the paramedic that assisted them. But you can see the uniform of a paramedic is typically a light blue shirt. You'll be able to tell from the patches on the shoulders that it'll say paramedic. Here's an example of the paramedics actually working with the person on the right is a St. Francis ambulance person. They were on a fire scene, and the people in the yellow coats are actually Newcastle County paramedics. This is an example of a scene where we have to wear safety equipment because you're in a fire scene and people are working on roofs, and sometimes things fall off the roof and things like that. But you can tell when you look at the helmets, it'll say EMS for Emergency Medical Services. It'll also say paramedic. And on the back of the coat, it'll say Newcastle County EMS, and that's how you can tell that you're dealing with one of the county paramedics. Again, a county paramedic, you can tell from the uniform. If you look at the patches on both sleeves, it says Newcastle County paramedic. If you really want to look closely, if you look at the collar, there's actually medical insignia on her collar. It's one of the ways you can tell you're dealing with a paramedic. We also use ambulances. This was actually one where we were on standby mode for President Obama. But you can tell from the ambulance, you've got that red and gold stripe going down the side, so you can tell it's a Newcastle County vehicle. You've got the seal on the doors that says Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services. And there's big lettering on the side of the ambulance that says paramedic unit. And again, there's only one paramedic service in Newcastle County. And another example of a paramedic unit, a paramedic ambulance, and you can tell it'll say paramedic unit, it'll say Newcastle County, and again you can see from the distinctive uniforms the county paramedics. It's kind of an example of paramedics and with some of our equipment that we carry, and again the same type of vehicle that we were talking about, the red and gold stripe, and the fact that it says Newcastle County EMS or Emergency Medical Services. This is an example of one of our staff cars, and again, you go back to, you look at the red and gold stripe, you see the seal that says Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services, in big letters it says paramedic, and in the background you can see one of the paramedic trucks. This was actually on a rescue scene, and a close-up of the patch. When you have someone who's wearing this patch, they're part of our agency, they're part of the Newcastle County paramedics, and we like to say that our mission is your life. We're there to take care of people, and we're hoping that the community will help us to avoid delays in getting to people that are in need. An example, again, of one of our field supervisors' vehicles. Again, red and gold stripe, and if you look on the door, it says Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services, so you know it's one of the Newcastle County paramedics. And there's another example of a county paramedic unit on a scene. Again, you can tell from the red and gold stripe that this is a county paramedic unit. Here's an example, actually in the city of Wilmington, where you have a group of providers. Some of those are city firefighters, Wilmington firefighters. Some of the ambulance crews are from St. Francis Ambulance Service, and some of the providers are actually Newcastle County paramedics, all working together to help someone who, in this case, had actually been struck by a vehicle. So, again, it's multiple agencies. It's one of the reasons why on a medical emergency you may see several vehicles showing up, because all of them are coming to render aid. Here again is an example, and in fact I believe candidate Fowler's on the left-hand side there. You can tell the Newcastle County personnel, they're wearing helmets. It says EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and Paramedic. We're dealing with some Wilmington firefighters. This was actually a rescue scene where they were bringing somebody off of a roof. And you also have some of the St. Francis Ambulance Service personnel on the scene as well. Just another example of how we cooperatively work on these types of situations for people in need.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much for coming and sharing and educating our viewers on what to do in case a paramedic comes. Is there anything you want to add before we end the segment?
No, I think one of the things that we urge people, if they see someone in need, dial 911. We don't know about the emergency until somebody reports it. One of the other things that we remind them is that the 911 center has the ability to tell them what to do and what not to do before help arrives. So they could be doing things while the responders are coming to the scene that could actually be helping the patient. So follow the instructions, answer all the questions, and that'll help us make a timely response as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you both so very much for coming
You're welcome.
on.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Going to take a quick break, and I will be back with my next guest. Welcome back to the Congo Hour. The song was so appropriate. Thank you, Alvin, for playing that song. As I stated earlier, this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And the next young lady that I'm going to introduce to you is a living testimony of surviving domestic violence. And that is Francine. Welcome to the Congo Hour.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And you have with you your
my sister and her mother-in-law.
Okay, Vanessa and
My support team.
Miss Helen.
Yes.
Yes, everybody knows Miss Helen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Everybody knows Miss Helen. I asked you in the green room,
Yes.
like, is there anything that we can't talk about?
No.
And you so brave. You was like, we could talk about anything and everything.
Yeah.
So let's start with, what date did the incident happen? You remember the date?
June. It was on June 16th, 2014.
2014.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened on that day?
Well, it was like any ordinary day. Actually, you know, I had my friend came over, and she was supposed to come over because, you know, just girl time, you know, and she was having little problems at home or whatever. And she just wanted to come over, and, you know, I said, well, just come over and spend some time with me. But at this particular time, you know, this guy here was somebody I was really trying to ease out of the relationship, really. Mm-hmm. You know, you just can't ease out some time of relationships to a point where you don't want to upset them, because, you know, I had some of my suspicions on how he was acting, you know what I mean? You know, we don't take for granted on looking at all the signs most of the times, you know, for whatever reason it might be. But he came, he said he wanted to get some things out of my basement because he had some things in the basement. So I was like, you know, fine, you know, like thinking everything's okay. And I remember looking at my friend and saying, well, what are we going to eat? You know, we was going to watch Power on TV. So I was like, let's order some wings and some pizza from the, you know. So when it came, he was there, and I thought he was eating the things out the basement. But then, you know, he used to lay blacktop for people's payment and stuff. So what had happened was he used to bring me gas home to put in my car. I never paid for gas, you know.
Okay.
So not paying anything, again, no attention. So the pizza came, you know, he had paid for the pizza, gave my friend a credit card and paid for the pizza. And after that, I remember the pizza coming. So I remember going in the kitchen the first time I saw him at the truck. But I see him getting the gas, but I'm just thinking that he's just going to get the gas and put it in my car. So I didn't pay it no attention, so I went back into the front room. So me and my friend was just talking, and she said that, well, she said she was going to go to the bathroom, and I said I was going to go back and get paper plates and some napkins. So as I didn't know he even came in the house, he had already came through the house, so I was smelling the gas. You know, I started smelling gas, and I kept saying, but I saw him at the basement, like with one knee down and one knee up, and I'm thinking, like, what is he doing? You know, I go and peep to see what he was doing. Like, what are you doing? And it just was, everything was just like in a split second. You know, I can always just remember myself pivoting to run, and I remember just pivoting to run, hollering up to my best friend to tell her, you know, like, call 911. And out of all that, me just doing that, he lit it. He just lit it, and it just, as me pivoting to run, he grabbed the back of my dress. So I just, and then he lit it, and just, boom. So as that went, it blew her down the steps, and I just kind of fell into it. So I kind of like buried myself enough under it, and I can remember I didn't even realize I was really on fire. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it was my adrenaline that made me move, and I can only remember seeing the backyard, like my kitchen, and I can remember seeing the outside light, and I could just remember just following that outside light. And it was funny is because in my backyard I had this little gate that used to push out, and I would be concerned because my grandkids would come over, and I kept saying, I gotta get this gate fixed, the kids are gonna fall out. But that was the very thing that saved my life. So I managed to get out and crawl out and get to the other side, and I got outside. And I remember just standing up, and I took a deep breath, and I just remember people starting to come and help me. But when I stood up, I looked at the house, I kept saying, oh my God, my friend's in there, you know what I mean? And she hadn't gotten out the front. She didn't know I got out the back.
Okay.
So someone had already helped her out the front, and I end up getting out by the back. But I can always remember this guy. I heard his voice, but I didn't know what his face looked like or nothing, you know what I mean? And it's funny is because when I gotten better and everything, he came to visit me. And I never seen his face before, but I remember that voice.
Okay.
And he kept, do you remember me? And I'm like, I remember your voice.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was the one who helped me, you know, through the whole thing. And I didn't wake up until like 4 months later out of a coma. And I can remember it all. And I was just always thinking I was in this dream that I couldn't leave, you know. And I can remember the voices, people's voices. I remember hearing people coming and seeing me and that kind of thing. It's amazing, you know, like to be able to remember all those things, you know. And, you know, just grateful because, you know, like I said, they didn't expect me to live the first 24 to 48 hours. They didn't think I was going to live. They said I caught a bad infection. Didn't think I would make it through that. And they said I was going to be there a whole year. I didn't be there a whole year. So, you know, it's just all the odds. I beat all the odds, you can say. But, you know.
You did. I remember, Francine, watching the news And at the time, I didn't know, who it was. I just remember the scene. And then, of course, social media, they kept playing it over and over. And I heard them kept saying, like, she's in the house, she's in the house. And I think it was your girlfriend that was saying she's in the house, she's in the house, but didn't know that you had
gotten out of the other side. And I actually gotten out before she did.
Wow.
Yeah, I had actually got out before she did, because I was still thinking she was still in there,
Yeah.
And they even tried to save him, but no, he died in the fire. But you know what? I'm okay with that, and I forgive. You understand me? And I don't think anyone deserved to die like that or whatever. Even though he brung it on himself, and people couldn't understand why. Why would you do that? It's just, I just think that I'm grateful that he has given me just that part of me to be able to move on with it and not hold it and be mad about it or those kind of things. You know what I mean? He just gave me something to a point where it won't even be allowed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I try to find reasons to be really upset with this person, but I can't. You know what I mean? And I think it's good, because I don't want to be bitter and mad about this situation. I'm just grateful to be alive, and I can move on with my life and everything, and I'm great with that.
Yeah. So Vanessa, when you got the call, do you remember what happened?
Yes, I was actually at work, and a guy friend that I grew up with, he called and he was like, "Sis, I think sis' house is on fire." And I was like, "Who?" He's like, "Fran." And I was like, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah, her house is on fire." And now at this time I'm working the night shift. So I immediately called my supervisor and said, "I'm leaving my job. I'm abandoning my job." So I called the person that was supposed to have been coming, and I said, "I'm going to leave these keys, and I'm just leaving because my sister's house is on fire." So when I got there, I actually got halfway there, and I met Mona and Seal, and they were like, "We have to go straight to Christiana."
Okay.
And when we all got to Christiana, the guy was like, "Well, she fits the description, but we can't tell." So I wasn't one of the ones who went into the actual room where she was, but 3 of her kids did, and my sister did. And to describe how she looked, at that time, it didn't look like her, they said. So at that point they were like, "We're going to transport her straight to Croziers." So for 4.5 months, that was an everyday run for us. It was like everyday ritual: get up, do what you got to do, run to Croziers, see my sister, go to work, and it's just the support that we all had, with helping her pull through, so we just glad that she's back. She's cooking again, and last week she made rice pudding and bread pudding.
And you didn't bring any sample to take for you.
And today she made chicken and dumplings. So
she all the way.
So she's back, yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I remember like social media just being flooded with prayers for you and thoughts and kind words about
prayer
you.
Works.
And your family just keeping everybody updated on it. Miss Helen,
Yes.
you are you're part of the support team.
Yes, I am.
So let's talk about being a support to others.
Well, I can remember the first night that it happened. My son and I went up to Croziers, and they were wheeling Fran down the hallway as we were coming in. And like Nessa said, the support of going up there, every day. I didn't go every day, but I went a lot. And I support Fran to the utmost, and anything she needs or I can help her with, I try to do it.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
And she's my miracle lady.
Yes, she is. I wanted to touch real quickly. I'm going over Mr. Congo's time. So real quickly, I want to talk about, because I've been in a violent relationship before, and I heard what you said, that sometimes it's really hard. People say just leave. It's not as easy as people make it seem. And this particular person, he's deceased now. He used to, I think he like had my mind thinking like nobody else would want
Yeah.
me. Like he's the only person for me. If he can't have me, nobody
Nobody
else
can.
will. And you kind of succumb to that.
Yep.
And sometimes you feel like, okay, maybe I made him hit me.
Right.
Maybe I did something to cause him to be this way.
Right.
But it wasn't until I got sick and tired of being sick and tired that I was able to get out of that relationship. So I'm just so grateful that you were able to see the light from the outside and crawl your way to safety,
Yes.
and that you're a living testimony
Oh,
of what
yeah.
God can do.
Yes.
And you're still so beautiful inside and out.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Yes.
is there anything that you want to say before we end?
No, I'm just so grateful for everybody in their prayers, because I say prayer does work. That all the support that people have been showing me, you know. So I'm just really grateful, and it's just something that I think that I had needed to do.
Yes.
You know, I'm not afraid of what this is or anything, and people ask me any questions, so I'm okay with that.
Right.
You know, and like you said, most people, when they afraid, most women are afraid to tell. Some women are ashamed to tell, and it comes in all kinds of. It has no color. It has no
Right.
religion.
That's right.
It has none of those things to do when it comes to domestic violence. And I just want women to be more aware of their surroundings, and be aware of watch your signs of anything. Know your signs, and I want you to know the signs even at the moment. You know, that something might cost you your life, you know. And it's very important. And, you know, most of all, you know, God first. God is always first,
Yes.
because without him there's nothing you can do in your lifetime, you know. And he's the one who keeps us going and strong. So with that being said, I just hope that these ladies can see that, you know, and do what they need to do.
Right. Thank you again so
Aw.
much for coming on and sharing.
Anytime,
Yes,
anytime.
strong,
Yes.
courageous lady you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, going to take a quick break. Mr. Congo is here. I hope that we have the scale so that he can weigh in. So don't turn your channel. We'll be right back. All right, we are back with my favorite part of the show, Sammy's Corner.
Well, I am sure that my favorite person, who is you, I'm always happy to be on the program with you. When it's just Trippy, it's a different kind of feeling, because he's a clown and you're sincere. So
Oh, okay.
I just like your sincerity.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sorry that he's not here tonight, because he surely believes that I can't lose weight. So I will
Why would
tip
he
the scale.
believe that?
I don't know. I've been struggling and haven't done that much. The fact is that I've been fooling around, but I'm so serious this time because of the fact that with my age and overweight, it's a very serious thing, and most of us don't realize how the quality of life that we can live and the happiness that we could have if we just would lose a little bit of weight and do a little bit of exercise, eat right and be healthy. And you can live well in your 90s and be able to move around, you know, and think well, and your health is wealth. It's not the green stuff that will help you after you get to a certain age. It's your health that will make you happy when you're at a certain age. And I recognize that, and I should have been doing this a while earlier. But it's
You're
not
doing
too
it
late.
now,
I'm
right?
doing it
That's
now.
what matters.
Yes. So tonight, I would just love to talk about my experience yesterday when I went to the memorial service for James Gilliam Sr. It was incredible. We had a tremendous audience there. The governor had decided, because of his participation in many activities in the state, to even fly Delaware's flag at half-mast. And so I thought that was wonderful of the governor to recognize that.
Most definitely.
And I guess the thing that everybody, and you know what amazed me? That Joe Biden, the President of the United States, in his busy schedule, canceled some of his appointments to be able to come and say a few words about him when I don't think everybody even knew that he was coming. But he had his group of people with him. But he came in and talked about his experiences with Jim in his long travel to get to the Congress and then get to the Senate and then get to be the President of the United States. And I thought that was very interesting. So that was a great experience for me yesterday. Was able to participate a little bit. I belong to a couple of organizations that he belonged to. So they came and I was able to participate. But I guess it was incredible. And the thing that I think brought back a lot of my thoughts was, number one, he and I argued all the time.
All the time.
All the time. But in looking over his life, I was not the only one that he argued with. It seemed like he argued with everybody. And I guess his desire to see everybody do something, because his favorite works was, we've got a lot to get done. And when he would finish talking with everybody, he would always say there's a lot to get done. And it brought back to my attention of the many things that affect our lives today, and they will only be done if all of us pitch in together and get them done. And I just sat there almost in amazement, thinking that how much more I could do. And I'm sure that everybody out there in TV land that's listening to us tonight, if you just took some time to think about it, you would understand the amount of work that you could do in your own home, in your own community, in this city, and just volunteering to help people who have been very unfortunate and cannot help themselves, whether it's mental, physical, taking a neighbor something to eat that is having a hard time and struggling with finance. And some people are proud and would probably feel embarrassed for you to help them. But develop the kind of relationships that when you're down, you're willing and open to accept friends, to make gestures of help. So I thought through the whole program, and it was wonderful. And Reverend Moore delivered an excellent eulogy. He was a guy that went to see him at least once a week for a long time. And so Jim decided that at his funeral, he wanted Reverend Moore to deliver the eulogy, yes.
You know what, Mr. C? It was a few months ago. It hasn't been a year. And Jordan called me, Jordan Hines, and he said, Mr. G wants you to call him. So I called him and I said, yes, sir. He's wondering why at Cokesbury he couldn't get the Congo Hour. Now, I said, so do you have Comcast? He said, yes, I have Comcast. What they did was they made their house channel, Channel 28. Well, Mr. Gilliam had a fit, so needless to say, it got fixed.
I see.
But So I don't know if they'll switch back now, but hopefully the other residents there can watch Channel 28 on Sundays.
I wish we had someone to tape the reception at time. I have never. He always wanted it lively. He didn't want any sadness at his funeral. And when they went back to Cokesbury for a reception, it was a reception that I've never witnessed in life. We had the greatest band, we had the greatest food, and it kind of reminded you of New Orleans, or when you left the cemetery, the band would be there and they would change the whole mood. And that's what it was. I mean, it was just wonderful.
Next week, because there is a clip on social media of the dancers and the music. So next week we can possibly play it.
That would be great.
Okay. We'll
That
get
would be
Alvin to
great.
work on that.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Now, there's that commitment that I made
Yes.
of losing 2 pounds a week.
Okay. So
Now, I've got to put a little slash in there.
okay.
And I advised my physician that I was losing weight, and his advice was, losing weight is fine, but healthy losing weight is very important.
Right.
So if we figure on 2 pounds a week, it could average up to 10 pounds a month, and he figures that's too much.
I'm glad you went to the doctor.
I did.
Because in all seriousness, sometimes we say we want to do something, but it's not healthy for us
That's
to do.
absolutely
So
right.
we want you to live long
Well-
and be healthy.
Well, it has an impact on your whole body.
Yeah.
You know, losing weight isn't just losing weight. It's just changing up your whole physicalness. And so I will, as of tonight, I will live up to my 2 pounds this week.
Okay.
But after this week, it will be 1 pound
Okay.
because I want to do it smart. So at this time,
You're going to go over to the
go
golden
over
scale?
and prove that I'm not just making an excuse for 2 pounds, because I think I exceeded the 2 pounds.
Okay.
And so, do you remember last week what it was?
244 point something.
No, it's 254.
Oh, thank you. 254. Okay.
Okay, now let's see if I accomplish my goal.
Okay. Drum roll, please. You got to take your mic off.
Oh, okay.
Ivan, we have drum roll. All right. Oh,
No, we can just turn this around.
We'll turn around.
all right. So you all get to see the studio and David.
Oh, I was on screen?
All right. We're ready, sir.
Step on.
No, it went away. You got to do.
We got it.
Oh, you got it?
251.
251. All right. So you want to get Mike back up? way. That's good. Yes. He got it.
Well, I guess all of you doubting Thomases will be sad tonight that you can't call in and get that $50.
So what was Trippy supposed to do if you did it?
I told him he had to give $25, but I'm not sure that he made that commitment.
Yeah, I thought.
So-
Yeah, I think he said no. He wasn't doing any of that. That it was on you. All right.
So I guess we better take a quick break because you got to,
Do my funeral announcements.
and your community.
Community news.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll take a quick break now, and thank you guys for being a doubting Thomas because I have now saved $50, and I'll see you next week. And it was $251.
You'll be 250.
Next week it'll be $250,
All right.
and on till I lose 50 pounds.
Oh, okay.